What's up, everybody? It's Carpo here. A little bit of a trim and chat session. Just doing some of the finer detail work on the smaller node. And, well, I thought I'd talk about life purpose, because while I'm doing this, I have a passion for what I'm doing. And I watched this video yesterday somebody made, and it was called something to the effect of like 3 keys to being happy or something to that effect. And he was talking about eating right. I can't even remember the specifics, but there was a couple things I wanted to add to it, I guess, which was that yes, we need love and we need health, we need all of our physical needs met, you know, our food, water, shelter, and all that. But what do we really need on the you know, meta level, on the spiritual level? You know, is it human nature to desire some sort of a spirituality? Maybe. For some people it works, for some it doesn't. But what are the universal needs of people beyond religion? Because a lot of people would say that religion is important, but to some it's not. So what's a universal need that is beyond religion and beyond dogma? And I say purpose. Purpose was my, you know, the only real conclusion that I had. To find something that you love doing and do it. It's difficult because we can't always, well, I'm not going to say we can't do what we want to do, but sometimes it's not always possible to do all the things that we would like. Maybe we couldn't take a career path, maybe we don't have the right education, maybe we want to be a scientist, and yeah, we could go back to school, but it would take years, and you know, so we find something else, and often we get stuck in jobs that we don't like, and situations we don't like. As far as having a job that we don't feel like we're really purposeful, that could be devastating. I've had jobs like that, and I didn't feel like I was really helping people, and I couldn't stick with it, you know. And but jobs are one thing. Now let's think about family for a second, dude. There's so many people out there who are unhappy in their family life, and that right alone, it means that your purpose as a parent or as a companion is not being fulfilled because it's not what you want. This is why a lot of people end up having kids and then freaking out and leaving. You know, they're not ready for it. They feel like they want to do other things. For me, raising kids is part of my purpose. You know, that's what I'm doing right now. This is my life. You know, I'm a parent, and I do my damnedest at it. It's hard, but it's something that I get rewarded from, and that's what I mean by purpose. The things that we do that are purposeful are the things that we feel inside that we actually are accomplishing something. So when somebody helps somebody out and does it for the right reasons, we'll know in our hearts if we did it for the right reasons as opposed to out of obligation. This is why I don't send Christmas cards or holiday cards or anything to people, because I don't feel like doing it. And I'm not going to do it just to feel obligated. Anyway, we really want to be happy, you know, as humans. We could sit and talk about which particular methods it takes to get there. Sorry, I got distracted for a minute. I heard something in the background. I think we all do the best we can, I guess is what I'm saying. And we're all trying. And I guess I can't say we're all trying, but when it comes to finding a reason to live beyond just being alive, this is what brings a lot of people to acquire, like, let's say, a religion later in life. Folks who otherwise may have been, a good example, I guess, would be, an atheist that turns Christian. I actually ran into one of those guys yesterday. And he commented on my video a while back that I made about, it was called "Was Jesus a Demon?" And obviously I don't really think Jesus was a demon. It was laying out some of the things that I'd heard about various, statements or whatnot. Anyway, the video was not meant to, be condescending towards Jesus. The fella's comment was, started out with, and this is such a classic, "I used to be just like you." It's like, okay. It says, "I was a former atheist until I found Jesus," yada yada yada. And by the way he described it, it sounded like someone who had tried to find purpose and found that purpose in religion. Now here's where it got very interesting, is when the person starts to push that on everyone else. I mean, that's when it becomes a problem. So I'm not gonna, I'm not here to dispute religion. That's not my intention in this video. Really, it's to just show that, when a person finds a purpose that they really, or a new belief or an idea that they really feel strongly about, they want to share it with the world, and they want everybody else to have that purpose too. And that's just not realistic. I mean, as humans, we all have different experiences that, different things that happen to us, and those experiences determine what is important to us, what we value. So I guess it's difficult, for people to come together and find common purpose, For example, like the Christian and the non-Christian getting together and saying, well, I believe this, and you believe that, but rather than fret about who's going where or who's doing right or wrong, how about we figure out what we do agree on, and use that to improve upon the world that we live in. And that would be a purpose for all, because that's something that we all do need. But I guess the reason why I brought that whole idea of that, that guy I talked to, the born-again guy, was because people feel very strongly about things when they finally find something that resonates with them. And I think that that's great. But the unfortunate part is that often it promotes an intolerance towards other people. It means I found this is what I believe now, therefore I have to join this side, one side or another. And I find that to be kind of ludicrous myself. Any belief that causes you to take a side means that, it's like someone said the other day, it's like once you've taken a side, you've already made a decision that something is true or not true. And I guess to a degree we have to do that. I mean, we have to draw some conclusions, because if we don't, then we're just pissing in the wind, just, I wonder if this is true, I wonder if this is true. So I guess for me, purpose is finding those things which not just resonate, because it's great when things resonate with us, but it doesn't mean they're true. That's one main point I guess I need to make, is that I've heard a lot of people say that really resonates, and I was that kind of person too. And then I started thinking about what is resonating. Why does it resonate? Is it because I've heard it before? Is it because it sounds right? Is it just because it sounds like a good idea? Many of the ideas that resonate don't necessarily mean they're true. So life purpose, all that stuff. What's up, everybody? Carpo here. Another little trim and chat. So, I was once just like you until I found the truth. Does that sound condescending? Yeah, it is. That's how I feel when people say that. I'm not actually saying that to you. It's one of those things that I have heard from so many different people, and I just thought I would kind of cover this in a video. When people say that to one another, what it really means is I used to have a similar belief to you, but then I decided to pick a side. I guess this came to mind from the video I just made, because while I was making it, I was thinking about this born-again Christian who had left a comment yesterday on one of my videos, and he started out by saying, I used to be an atheist. He goes, I was just like you until I found Jesus. And I said, sir, I don't know how many times I've heard this statement from people. He said, no, you were not like me. You were never like me. We obviously have a major difference because we're different people. But it seems to be that people of a religious persuasion, they seem to have this view that everyone should take their view, and when they do, they will find the truth. Such as, if you take Jesus into your heart, you'll be forgiven for your sins, you will feel His presence, that your life will change and He will be with you all the time. But then you'll hear the same story about someone who talks about Allah or, Krishna. And each person takes these particular gods into their heart, and these gods are nothing more than a metaphor for this eternal oneness of everything. And I used to be very opposed to putting labels on God. And I still am for me personally, but I don't get on people's case for doing it. In other words, we need some sort of a, something. Idol worship for some people, for some people it's just praying to the universe, personal path. So when somebody says, I was just like you, I don't know what else to say except complete, utter bullshit, Nobody's ever been like me, and nobody ever will be. Nobody can experience what I'm experiencing in my life. And I have given up trying to convey the ways that I feel, because I understand that there are many similarities between the way I think and the way others think, but also a vast sea of differences. Because the side of me that's portrayed to the world is the side that the world wants to see. 2, 3 different people watching this video are going to interpret something I say completely different depending on their background and what they consider to be true or right. For example, me just talking about religion will piss off a couple of Christians, and it will also please some people who are maybe non-religious. But the fact that I'm talking about any spirituality may irritate both parties, in the sense that to just say that there's a mystical quality to life, but that we can't define it, isn't enough for most people. And I don't know if it's enough for me. It's obvious that I'm not content just knowing there's something larger. I have to look into it and experience it. I want to know it, but I refuse to buy into a belief system that tries to explain that for me. Each man is in charge of his own destiny and his own reality, but we still need the assistance of this oneness of everything. And so there's this tight relationship between the individual and the whole. But when a person chooses to say that they they prefer to be, say, personally empowered rather than getting their power from an external source. Let's say a Christian may see that as saying, well, you're saying you're a God. I mean, I've heard this from a lot of different Christians. Say, you're saying that you're God. I'm saying, well, yes, but not in the sense that I am God. There's a huge difference. It says, I am part of God. Therefore, I need to pray to no external source. I don't need a middleman between me and the Almighty. It just doesn't make sense to me, you know. Nature doesn't set up middlemen. You know, we all have direct connection to the source, whatever it is. That's one thing that I believe, and you know, it's not really a deep-seated belief because, you know, there's nothing to it. I'm basically just saying there's something larger we don't understand. And when I keep it that simple, I can work on the things that we do understand. You know, who am I? What do I do? What's my purpose in life? And so it's nice that some people like to grasp onto ideas and form beliefs. I think that's wonderful. It's only harmful when they begin to push that on everyone else. And you can see in desperation, for example, this fellow I talked to yesterday. You know, I thought we were having a rational conversation there. I mentioned a few things about, you know, I said, well, no, you actually weren't like me. You are a different person, and it's great that you took Jesus, but I said it's unfortunate that, you know, many Christians don't even understand their own religion, or really the roots, or any of the metaphors of the Bible. Hell, the scholars don't even understand it all. But the Bible has some legitimacy in that form, if you can take the metaphors and understand them. But as soon as I laid that out and explained it to him in a pretty long comment, all he said was, you know, it says in the Bible that false prophets and false teachers are going to burn, or, you know, that they will suffer the worst fate. It's like, is this the best response you can muster to, you know, a rational comment? It's just that you're going to hell, that you will suffer for not believing what I believe. And this is a common response I've gotten over and over from Christians, Muslims, and so that's why I speak about it. Not because I'm going to try to attack religion, but rather because religion attacks me, and I'm defending myself. That's all there is to it. It's that simple. If no Christians ever bothered me and didn't, you know, I didn't have to catch their grief, I probably would still speak out only because of some of the, you know, ignorant laws that are passed in the name of, you know, the Bible. Oh, well, you know, such as like abortion and, you know, these things that we try to use a book to try to define what society needs. It's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous, but to each his own. So when it's pushed on me, I push back and, you know, speak my mind about it. And I guess that there's enough people out there saying that this and this is true to where we each deserve to be able to say, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Show me the money, you know. So I've tried about, well, yeah, I've talked to Jesus, I've talked to God, I've talked to any of these figures you can imagine, because I feel like giving anyone a chance, or any idea a chance, is valid. For example, a person who's a non-Christian who says there is no Christ, who's never said, hey Christ, will you come into my heart and save me, you know. That's what the Christians say to do. So do it. Try it out. See what happens. Do you feel saved? Do you feel any more protected? Maybe. Maybe not. I didn't. And then a person will say, well, you have to really believe it. You have to have faith. And this is where the circle becomes just futile. You have to have faith, but you have to develop faith by being shown. So in other words, this is why Christian faith means just merely believing in something with no actual evidence whatsoever. And when a person tries to push that on me and tell me I'm going to hell because I don't believe in something they do, then, you know, I'm likely to speak up. The arguments that most Christians present are are pretty weak at best. And I guess the reason why I'm even talking about this is just because it seems like every single time I try to have a valid discussion about the possible authenticity of the Bible, I'm merely met with quotes from the Bible. In other words, it's a circle of, well, what's the source? The source is the book. Well, who wrote the book? God wrote the book. How do you know that? Because it says it in the book. Just comes down to faith, I guess, but I don't have faith in mankind to develop my belief system for me. I think if Christianity was legitimate, if Christianity was the path to truth, it would have shown itself by now, you know? In other words, God doesn't fucking play games. God doesn't joke around. God doesn't, in my eyes, the way I see it, God doesn't pussyfoot around and say, like a human with human attributes, and say, well, I'm gonna show you a little bit of this, but you have to have faith to believe it, or else you're gonna burn in hell. That kind of stuff is just dumb. It's dumb. It's bad thinking. It's damaging thinking, because it harms the individual. Anybody who believes that they may go and burn in a lake of fire for any reason is completely destroying any possibility of living a decent life, because they're in fear. Now, they may say, well, no, I'm not in fear because I know I'm doing the right thing. But the problem is that you're doing the right thing out of fear, not out of love. Each person can argue with that and say, no, I do it out of love for Jesus and whatnot, but let's say that there was no hell or no bad place to go. You either go to heaven or you could go to somewhere else. Each person has their own belief, and not even all Christians don't even believe in hell. I mean, a lot of people believe that hell is here on earth. All of it's really just speculation. Nothing more than speculation. And I guess for me, when I see people in suits and ties going to their work, going to in these very highly educated positions and whatnot, and understanding the world around them better than most, and then they decide to just go out to church on Sunday as if it's somehow going to redeem them from being who they are. And it's almost like it's a game. It's a game. Well, I'm playing my part, I'm doing my thing. It's kind of like, oh, well, I'm donating to charity every Christmas. It's how I feel, like many people feel like church is. Let's put it this way. How many people have you heard say, oh, we got to go to church on Sunday? Should it be that way? I mean, shouldn't it be something that people are excited to go do? Oh, right, church. Oh, wait, I got some spare time, I'll go to church. But all the people I've met that go are like, oh, we got to go to church. It's like, don't go if you don't want to go. I mean, I guess that's just the way I view the way that people behave about these things. And it seems that there's not a lot of... I guess what I'm saying is that the people who claim to believe don't seem to really have that as much belief as they claim to have. Many of them. That it seems to be that the harder you push to prove that what you believe is true, then the less that you really believe it yourself. And I can only assume, because I'm just one person, but I've always noticed in any situation, the more a person defends something, they only do it because it needs more defense, as opposed to something that's obvious and clear, like the sky is blue. Not many people will argue. Some will, but for the most part there's a consensus, because we can all look and agree. But with religion, it's just chaos. It's just chaos. And I guess it's just shocking to me to see, we consider ourselves so, modern and advanced, yet we're still latching on to these, way outdated theories of what God is and what the universe is. So, I would never want to see religion abolished, because that's not something that's not what I'm after. That's not what I would like to see. People use it, and there are many great believers out there who just live their lives and do things properly and hope for the best and harm no other and don't push their views on others, and that's fine. Those aren't the ones I'm talking about. The ones that push the hardest often, I feel, have really the least to say, and usually just end up quoting Bible verses to defend their point. In fact, I don't think I've ever discussed anything with one Christian who didn't resort to the Bible for his quotes, and that's to be expected from somebody who believes the Bible is the Word of God. But when you claim that, oh well, I don't believe the Bible is the Word of God, and then they say, but it says in the Bible this, where do you go with a discussion like that? You know, how can we really even get through to each other when we're constantly reverting back to old books? It would just be like if someone pulled out an old textbook, you know, that, you know, from the 1800s or something, and just kept quoting that textbook. Even though modern textbooks had come out, moved forward, it's like the whole of religion is trying to do what Texas does, you know, push back into the dark ages, you know, force people to believe things or else they're outcasted from the group. And I don't like seeing that. I don't think it's fair. You know, that a group of, say, non-Christians would just call someone or a group of Christians would call a non-believer a heathen merely because they have their own path. So stand up for the little guys, you know. Most of the rational thinkers I've met are the ones that, you know, very few rational thinkers I know are Christians. And I'm a rational thinker, so I guess that's just the way it is. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. It just means that maybe I'm a skeptic to the point where I need more than just a guy telling me that a book is true in order to believe that my whole life is about one thing. See what I mean? That many books can prove themselves to be true if you give it a chance. The Bhagavad Gita is a great book. So many truths in it. But it doesn't mean it's the one word. It's just a word. And I think that it would be great to see religions side by side studying their own practices and realizing that it's all towards the same end. And with that, the dogma would fall away. And then religion wouldn't be viewed as such a negative thing. It could actually be a benefit for society. So that's my take on it. Take care, everybody.